There is no update in the investigation for the siblings who were reported missing. 4-year-old Jack and 6-year-old Lilly Sullivan were reported missing.
Fully engaged in finding out what happened to Jack and Lilly.
The province of Nova Scotia is offering a reward of up to $150,000 for any information.
RCMP resumed their ground search for 6-year-old Lilly and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan.
Latest RCMP update, July 16, 2025. Over 5,000 video files have been collected from around Lansdowne Station in Pictou County. More than 60 individuals have been interviewed and subjected to polygraph tests. The public has submitted over 600 tips. Investigators have carried out 800 assignments related to the search and investigation. And now, a massive $150,000 reward has been announced for anyone who can help locate Lilly and Jack Sullivan. Key evidence so far includes a pink blanket and a footprint found near the scene. But the haunting question remains: where are Lilly and Jack Sullivan? Are they safe? What has happened to them after more than 2 months of this chilling disappearance? Watch the full video and share your own theories and observations. Let's all hope and pray for the best possible outcome for Lilly and Jack Sullivan. Subscribe to True Child Cases to stay updated on this case until the very end. Part 1. Disappearance of Lilly and Jack Sullivan: How 2 children vanished without a trace in Nova Scotia. It was the morning of May 2nd, 2025, when the quiet of Lansdowne Station, a rural area nestled in the woods of Nova Scotia's Pictou County, was shattered by a chilling report. Lilly Sullivan, just 6 years old, and her 4-year-old brother Jack were missing. Their mother called the RCMP that morning to report that the 2 siblings had wandered away from their home. The house itself is surrounded by dense forest, isolated from main roads, and located in an area so rugged even adults find it hard to navigate without guidance. Many locals and even investigators immediately questioned how 2 young children could simply walk off into such wilderness and leave no trace. But that is exactly what the family claimed had happened. The RCMP responded immediately, dispatching officers to the scene and calling in resources from nearby detachments. What began as a standard missing persons response quickly escalated into one of the most intensive investigations in Nova Scotia's history. Searchers canvassed the woods, calling the children's names, leaving food and blankets in case they were hiding, and even setting up trail cameras to catch movement. The first 72 hours were a flurry of helicopters, drones, search dogs, and hundreds of volunteers combing every square foot of the area. Yet nothing was found. No footprints leading deeper into the woods, no clothing caught on branches, no sound of children calling for help. Nothing. It was as if Lilly and Jack had simply vanished into thin air. The community's initial hope began to waver as days passed with no sign of the 2. People who knew the family described them as quiet, unremarkable, and not the kind of people you'd expect to be at the center of a national media storm. And yet, there they were. Their faces plastered across every newspaper and television screen in the country. Everyone seemed to be asking the same question: how could 2 young children disappear from their own backyard without a single trace? Investigators began to widen their search perimeter and broaden their theory of what might have happened. Was it possible they'd been taken? Was this not a case of children wandering off, but rather a sinister abduction? As the questions mounted, so did the pressure on the RCMP. The family maintained their story. The children must have slipped away when no one was watching. But to many observers, that explanation just didn't add up. Then came the first break in the case, or what seemed like it could be. In a clearing not far from the Sullivan home, search teams found a pink blanket, neatly folded, almost as if someone had placed it there. Not torn, not dirty from the brush, just waiting. Near the blanket, officers also noted a boot print. Investigators quickly seized both pieces of evidence and sent them for forensic testing. Yet police have never revealed publicly whether the blanket even belonged to Lilly or whether the boot fingerprint matched anyone in the household. And so, even this potential clue only deepened the mystery. By the end of the first week, the search was already consuming vast resources. But there were still no answers. The family continued to plead for the children's safe return while insisting they knew nothing more than what they'd already told police. More than 2 months later, we're still left asking the same haunting question. Where are Lilly and Jack Sullivan? Are they safe? What really happened on that spring morning in Nova Scotia? Stay with us as we uncover the layers of this investigation. Like this video to show your support, leave your theories in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to True Child Cases to follow this chilling mystery to its end. Your voice keeps the spotlight on Lilly and Jack and may help bring them home. And next, we'll dive into how the RCMP combed through thousands of videos and tips in their relentless search for answers. So stay tuned for part 2 of this investigation right here on True Child Cases. Part 2, RCMP, Search for Missing Siblings in Nova Scotia. What 5,000 videos and 800 tasks reveal. The search for Lilly and Jack Sullivan quickly evolved into one of the most complex investigations in Nova Scotia's history. As the first frantic days passed with no sign of the children, the RCMP shifted into a more methodical, data-driven operation. Investigators began canvassing Lansdowne Station and surrounding areas, collecting security footage from every possible source: homes, businesses, traffic cameras, even private wildlife cameras. By mid-July, more than 5,000 video files had been gathered, analyzed frame by dedicated teams. Every second of footage was scrutinized for any sign of the children, their clothing, or suspicious vehicles in the area. But the scope of the operation didn't stop there. Over 600 tips poured in from the public. Some claimed to have seen children matching Lilly and Jack's description in other towns. Others reported strange individuals seen near the Sullivan home in the days before the disappearance. Each lead, no matter how unlikely, was logged, assessed, and followed up on, contributing to the more than 800 investigative tasks documented by RCMP's major crime unit. The manpower behind the scenes was staggering. Dozens of officers from Nova Scotia worked in coordination with RCMP units from New Brunswick and Ontario, as well as the National Centre for Missing Persons and the Canadian Centre for Child Protection. Even municipal police agencies from other provinces contributed personnel and expertise, creating a task force that spanned hundreds of miles. Staff Sergeant Rob McCammon called it a tremendous amount of careful, deliberate investigative work. But despite the massive effort, the case remained unsolved. One key piece of evidence did emerge from reviewing the surveillance tapes, video from the day before the children went missing, showing them with their family in public. The footage revealed nothing suspicious, but it did confirm they were alive and well the night before, and left many wondering what could have happened in just a few short hours. The community, desperate for answers, rallied behind the investigation. Posters bearing the children's faces lined every lamppost. A tip line was established, and Crime Stoppers received anonymous calls daily. But with every passing week and no breakthrough, frustration and fear began to set in. Were they looking in the wrong places? Could the children have been taken far beyond Nova Scotia? Or was someone close to them hiding the truth? The RCMP continued to insist they were following the evidence wherever it led, and that no one had been ruled out. Keep watching as we explore the next chapter, the mounting suspicions surrounding the Sullivan family, and whether someone close to Lilly and Jack knows more than they've admitted. Like this video, leave your thoughts below and subscribe to True Child Cases, and don't miss Part 3 coming up next in this gripping investigation. Part 3, Family Under Scrutiny. Did someone close to Lilly and Jack Sullivan hide the truth? As the weeks stretched into months with no trace of Lilly and Jack Sullivan, public attention began to shift from the woods and roads of Nova Scotia to the people closest to the children, their own family. Whispers of doubt grew louder, questions about the timeline of that morning, about the household dynamics, about whether the story of the children wandering off was even true. Neighbors described the Sullivan household as quiet, but tense. Some recalled hearing raised voices in the weeks leading up to the disappearance, though no one reported anything serious at the time. The mother, Malaya Brooks Murray, appeared on local news with tearful pleas for her children's safe return. But critics were quick to point out her demeanor. Too calm, some said, too composed for a mother whose children had vanished. Was it shock? Or something more calculated? Even more controversial was the role of the children's stepfather, Daniel Martel. He too gave interviews and expressed anguish, claiming full cooperation with police. He admitted to taking a polygraph test administered by the RCMP. But the RCMP never disclosed his results, and rumors swirled that he hadn't passed. Adding to the unease was the detail revealed by investigators. Video footage from the day before the disappearance showed the children with their family in public, alive and seemingly well. But that only deepened the mystery. Nothing appeared wrong that day, yet by the next morning they were gone. Why would two small children wander off without shoes or jackets? Why had no one in the family noticed them leave? Sources close to the investigation hinted that inconsistencies in family members' statements had caught investigators' attention. Some details about when the children were last seen and who was present in the home that morning didn't line up. The RCMP stressed that no one had been cleared of suspicion, including family members. And that ambiguity fanned the flames of public suspicion. Theories proliferated on social media. Accidental harm covered up as a disappearance, a custody dispute taken too far, even suggestions that the children had been sold or handed off to someone else. None of these theories were substantiated, but they reflected the growing sense of distrust surrounding the family. In one interview, Daniel Martel pushed back forcefully on these insinuations, saying, "We've told the police everything. We've done everything they've asked. We just want Lilly and Jack back." But for many watching, his words rang hollow. In Part 4, we'll turn our attention back to the woods, to the two eerie pieces of evidence, the pink blanket and the boot print, and explore whether these clues could finally break the case wide open. Like this video, share your thoughts, and subscribe to True Child Cases so you don't miss the next chapter in this gripping story. Part 4, Evidence Found in the Woods. The pink blanket and boot print that could break the case. Even amid the hundreds of tips, interviews, and surveillance videos, two physical clues stood out as potential keys to the mystery of Lilly and Jack's disappearance. A pink blanket and a single boot print, both found near the family's property. To some, these discoveries represented hope, tangible evidence that could lead to answers. To others, they raised more questions than they answered. The pink blanket was discovered just a few days after the children vanished, in a small clearing less than a mile from the Sullivan home. Searchers described it as neatly folded, oddly clean for an item left in the woods. Many expected it to show signs of a struggle or of being dragged, but it didn't. Forensic teams carefully collected the blanket and immediately sent it for DNA analysis. Weeks passed, but police refused to publicly confirm whether the DNA matched Lilly's. That silence only fueled speculation. Was it hers, or did it belong to someone else entirely? Was it placed there deliberately to mislead investigators? Close by, officers noted a single boot print in the damp earth. At first glance, it seemed promising, a fresh print, suggesting recent activity. But again, the RCMP declined to say whether it matched any member of the family or if it was consistent with a child's shoe size. In fact, some reports hinted it might have been an adult's. Was this the mark of an abductor, or simply another dead end? Investigators canvassed neighbors, asking if anyone recognized the blanket or had seen anyone in the area around the time of the disappearance. Some claimed to have seen unfamiliar vehicles parked on logging roads near the woods, but no definitive leads emerged. Others wondered whether the blanket was planted later, after search efforts had already passed through the area. If true, it would suggest a disturbing level of planning, and a perpetrator watching closely enough to know when to strike. The boot print, too, became a point of debate. Skeptics argued it could have been left by one of the many searchers in the early chaotic hours of the search, but others noted that search crews had been trained to avoid contaminating evidence, making that unlikely. For the public, these two clues became symbols of both hope and frustration, proof that the investigation was making progress, yet also a reminder of how little was still known. Why had nothing else been found in the vicinity? Where was the trail leading? And how could two children simply vanish while leaving only these enigmatic signs behind? As the RCMP pressed on, their public statements remained measured. They urged anyone with information about the blanket, the boot print, or any unusual activity near Lansdowne Station on May 2nd to come forward. Behind the scenes, forensic labs across Canada continue to analyze every fiber, every grain of soil. But so far, no breakthroughs were announced. In Part 5, we'll examine the theories that have emerged around this baffling case, from tragic accident to calculated abduction, and how each possibility shapes the investigation. Don't forget to like this video, leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to True Child Cases to stay with us as we search for the truth about Lilly and Jack Sullivan. Part 5. Theories about the Nova Scotia disappearance. Did Lilly and Jack wander off, or were they taken? More than 2 months after the baffling disappearance of Lilly and Jack Sullivan, the question on everyone's mind remains: what really happened that morning? As investigators chase every lead, the public has developed its own theories, some plausible, some chilling, and all worth exploring. One of the earliest theories is the simplest: that the children wandered too far and became lost in the dense woods surrounding Lansdowne Station. The area is notoriously treacherous, even for experienced hikers. Could two small children have strayed into the wilderness and succumbed to the elements, leaving almost no trace? This theory has one major flaw. Despite exhaustive searches, nothing, no remains, no clothing, no signs of shelter, has ever been found. Even the pink blanket was discovered in a location already searched earlier, raising doubts. Another theory centers on an accidental death within the home, later covered up. Supporters of this idea point to inconsistencies in family members' statements and the fact that no one saw the children leave. Could a tragic accident have occurred that morning, with the family hiding the truth out of fear or shame? This would explain the absence of a trail, but leaves the question of the blanket and boot print unanswered. More sinister still is the theory of abduction. Some believe a stranger, or even someone known to the family, took the children, perhaps lying in wait and striking at the perfect moment. This theory gained traction after reports of unfamiliar vehicles and individuals seen near the area around the time of the disappearance. If true, it raises chilling questions about whether the children are still alive and where they might be. There's also the possibility of planned removal, that the children were deliberately handed off to someone else. While unsubstantiated, this theory feeds on community gossip and suspicions about custody disputes or debts owed by family members. Could someone close to the family have orchestrated their disappearance for reasons yet unknown? Law enforcement has publicly acknowledged that they are keeping all options on the table. In a statement, the RCMP reiterated, "We cannot and will not rule out any possibility until evidence allows us to." For the investigators, it remains a delicate balance between chasing leads and avoiding false assumptions. For the public, the lack of answers has been maddening, and the theories, however speculative, reflect the desperation to make sense of the inexplicable. Social media groups dedicated to the case dissect every rumor, every press release, every scrap of information. Everyone seems to have a theory, and everyone clings to the hope that the truth, whatever it is, will come to light. In Part 6, we'll look at what's next for the investigation. The massive $150,000 reward now on the table, the continued plea for tips, and the hope that someone, somewhere, holds the key to solving this heartbreaking mystery. Like, comment, and subscribe to True Child Cases, and stay tuned for the final chapter of this story. Part 6. RCMP's ongoing hunt, $150,000 reward, and the plea for tips in the Sullivan case. 2.5 months into the search for Lilly and Jack Sullivan, the RCMP shows no signs of slowing down. With each passing day, investigators reaffirm their commitment to uncovering the truth and bringing the children home. The stakes have never been higher, and neither has the reward. In a bid to encourage anyone with even the smallest piece of information to come forward, Nova Scotia's major unsolved crimes program has offered a massive $150,000 reward for tips that lead to the resolution of this case. Staff Sergeant Rob McCammon has described the investigation as an unprecedented collaborative effort, with officers from multiple provinces, forensic experts, behavioral science teams, and national child protection agencies all working together. More than 800 investigative tasks remain active. Every day, detectives chase down leads, follow up on tips, and re-examine the evidence already collected. Posters of Lilly and Jack still adorn storefronts and bulletin boards throughout the region. RCMP press conferences continue to call on the public to come forward. No matter how insignificant a detail may seem to you, McCammon stated, it could be the piece that solves this puzzle. For families of other missing children, this case has reignited painful memories, but also hope that renewed attention could lead to answers. Child protection advocates have praised the RCMP's persistence, even as critics question why no breakthrough has come. Forensic labs remain hard at work, analyzing the pink blanket and boot print for any trace evidence. Surveillance footage is still being reviewed for missed details. Polygraph results and witness statements are being cross-checked for inconsistencies. Every avenue is being pursued. But the central question remains: where are Lilly and Jack? Are they alive, waiting to be found, or has something more tragic already occurred? For the community, for Canada, and for anyone who has followed this case, the answer cannot come soon enough. If you know anything about the disappearance of Lilly and Jack Sullivan, no matter how small, please contact the Northeast Nova RCMP Major Crime Unit at 902-896-5060 or submit a tip anonymously through Crime Stoppers. And for everyone watching, like, comment, and subscribe to True Child Cases to ensure this story stays in the public eye. Together, we can help bring Lilly and Jack home and bring whoever is responsible to justice. Part 7. What's next in the search for Lilly and Jack Sullivan? The road ahead. As the investigation enters its 3rd month, the RCMP has made it clear that their commitment to finding Lilly and Jack Sullivan will not waver. Behind closed doors, task force meetings continue daily, with detectives, forensic experts, and behavioral analysts reviewing every lead, no matter how small. Investigators remain convinced that someone, somewhere, holds the missing piece to this heartbreaking puzzle, and they are determined to find it. Sources close to the investigation reveal that new strategies are being considered, including expanding the search radius beyond Pictou County and revisiting previously cleared areas with more advanced equipment. Search crews are preparing to bring in cadaver dogs and ground-penetrating radar to examine areas that were previously inaccessible. The RCMP is also said to be working with international agencies, keeping an eye out for possible sightings or trafficking patterns that could explain the children's disappearance. Meanwhile, the reward has sparked a flurry of new tips, which are now being carefully vetted. Some of these tips have already led to renewed interviews and new forensic testing of items recovered from the area. Detectives continue to work long hours, driven by the possibility that one phone call, one piece of evidence, could finally bring Lilly and Jack home. Teams have been assigned to revisit digital evidence, including deleted phone records and encrypted messaging apps, in hopes of uncovering hidden communication between suspects. Others are re-interviewing witnesses under more intense scrutiny, cross-checking alibis and verifying details that were previously taken at face value. The community, too, remains engaged. Weekly vigils continue to draw crowds of supporters. Volunteers help distribute updated flyers, while local businesses keep the children's photos in their windows. Social media campaigns grow larger every week, with hashtags like Find Lilly and Jack and Bring Them Home trending each time there's an update, keeping the case in the public eye. Local charities have begun raising funds to help support search efforts and to provide counseling for families affected by this tragedy. Some families of other missing children have joined the cause, forming a coalition to pressure authorities for more transparency and more resources dedicated to solving not just this case, but others like it. But the emotional toll is growing heavier by the day, for the family, for the investigators, and for the community at large. Many hope that this relentless determination, coupled with public support, will finally yield answers. Others quietly fear that the truth may never fully come to light. Yet, even in the face of despair, the resolve to keep searching remains unbroken. New search grids are already being planned, and new technologies are being evaluated for deployment, including drones equipped with thermal imaging and AI-assisted pattern recognition. For the RCMP, no lead is too small, no possibility too remote. Stay with True Child Cases as we continue to follow every development in this tragic and perplexing mystery. Like, share, and comment with your thoughts below. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an update. Together, we can keep the search alive and keep hope alive for Lilly and Jack Sullivan. And get ready, because in upcoming Parts 8, we'll uncover new angles, revisit key interviews, and explore the national impact of this haunting case. As we close this chapter for now, it's important to remember that Lilly and Jack Sullivan's disappearance is not just a mystery. It's a painful reminder of how vulnerable children can be and how much work remains to protect them. Around the world, too many children fall victim to violence, neglect, and horrific crimes. Their stories are often silenced, their lives cut short by those who should have cared for them most. But we have the power and the responsibility to change that. At True Child Cases, we believe in speaking up for the voiceless, shining a light on injustice, and demanding accountability. Every child deserves a safe, happy, and healthy life, free from fear. That is why we must all stand together to denounce violence against children, to hold dangerous offenders accountable, and to build stronger systems of protection in every community. By raising awareness, supporting advocacy, and staying vigilant, we can help prevent future tragedies. We can create a world where children grow up surrounded by love, not harm, where they can play, dream, and thrive without fear, and where justice always finds those who seek to hurt them. True Child Cases will continue to bring you the latest updates in the search for Lilly and Jack Sullivan, and in every case where a child's safety is at stake. Please subscribe to our channel to stay informed, to add your voice to this mission, and to help keep these stories alive until every missing child is found and every abuser is brought to justice. Together, we can make a difference. Together, we can create a brighter future for children everywhere. Thank you for watching and for standing with us in this fight. Don't forget to click the subscribe button and turn on notifications to support our work and ensure you never miss an update.